Wardrobe malfunction. Charlotte Flair's SmackDown mishap exposes elite ring IQ as Bayley saves the moment. Charlotte Flair just experienced every female wrestler's absolute nightmare scenario during a live SmackDown match when a wardrobe malfunction threatened to derail the entire segment and expose her on live television in front of millions of viewers. But what happened next is a masterclass in professional wrestling instincts as both Charlotte and her opponent Bayley demonstrated the kind of elite ring awareness and quick thinking that separates true veterans from everyone else, turning a potential career-embarrassing disaster into a moment that actually showcases why these women are considered the absolute best in the business. This was not a minor costume issue that could be ignored or a quick fix that viewers might not notice. This was a legitimate emergency situation that required split-second decision-making and flawless execution to prevent what could have been a viral disaster that would have overshadowed everything else about the match and potentially damaged Charlotte's reputation forever. If you think wardrobe malfunctions are just funny accidents that do not matter, what Charlotte and Bayley pulled off here proves that handling these situations with professionalism and grace is an art form in itself. If you want to understand why Charlotte Flair is considered one of the greatest women's wrestlers of all time, watching how she handled this crisis while maintaining character and match quality will show you exactly what separates legends from ordinary performers. And if you want to see Bayley prove once again why she is the most underrated and professional wrestler in the entire women's division, her actions during this incident deserve all the recognition and respect. The match was a standard SmackDown main event positioning Charlotte against Bayley in what was supposed to be a hard-hitting technical showcase building toward their upcoming pay-per-view championship encounter. The opening minutes went exactly as planned, with both women executing crisp sequences and telling the story of mutual respect mixed with competitive intensity. Charlotte was working in her typical elaborate ring gear, one of the custom outfits she is known for that combines athletic functionality with high-fashion aesthetics, the kind of gear that makes her look like royalty but also requires precise construction to stay secure during the physical demands of professional wrestling. About 8 minutes into the match, during a sequence where Bayley had Charlotte in the corner delivering shoulder thrusts, something went catastrophically wrong with Charlotte's gear. The exact technical failure is not completely clear from camera angles, but what is obvious is that a critical strap or fastening gave way, creating a situation where Charlotte's top was suddenly not secure and threatened to expose her in a way that would have been absolutely mortifying on live television. The realization hit Charlotte instantly. You could see her face change as she felt the malfunction, the brief flash of panic in her eyes as she understood the severity of what was happening. What happened in the next 3 seconds is what separates Charlotte Flair from almost every other wrestler in the world. Instead of panicking, freezing, or breaking character to fix the problem, Charlotte immediately adjusted her in-ring positioning to minimize exposure while simultaneously communicating the situation to Bayley through subtle facial expressions and body language that only another veteran would recognize. Charlotte turned her body slightly to keep the problematic area away from hard camera, used her arm positioning to provide coverage while still making it look like natural wrestling movement, and within literally seconds had formulated a plan to address the situation without stopping the match or breaking the audience's suspension of disbelief. Bayley's reaction was equally impressive and demonstrated exactly why she is considered one of the absolute smartest and most professional workers in WWE. The moment she realized what was happening, Bayley immediately modified her attack strategy to help Charlotte maintain coverage while they worked toward a solution. She transitioned into a headlock takeover that positioned both women on the mat in a way that allowed Charlotte to use the position to make adjustments without it being obvious. Bayley then controlled the pace to give Charlotte time to assess whether the gear could be quickly secured or whether they needed a different strategy. The communication between them was entirely non-verbal and absolutely seamless. Charlotte indicated through positioning that she could not fix the malfunction with a quick adjustment, that she needed to get backstage to properly secure or change her gear. Bayley immediately understood and began working toward getting Charlotte out of the ring in a way that made storyline sense and did not expose the real reason for the exit. This is where elite ring psychology comes into play, because they could not just have Charlotte randomly leave the ring, it had to fit the match narrative they had been building or the audience would know something was wrong. Bayley executed a brilliant sequence where she hit Charlotte with a running knee that sent her tumbling out of the ring, selling it as a huge momentum shift in the match while actually facilitating Charlotte's necessary trip to the back. Charlotte sold the move perfectly, holding her midsection as if legitimately hurt while also keeping her arm positioned to maintain coverage of the wardrobe issue. She staggered up the ramp toward the backstage area, staying in character as someone who had been rocked by a big move and needed to regroup, while in reality she was racing against time to fix her gear before the match had to continue. The production team deserves enormous credit for how they handled this situation. The cameras stayed tight on Bayley celebrating in the ring, avoiding wide shots that might have made Charlotte's coverage efforts more obvious. The announcers seamlessly covered for the pause in action by discussing the impact of Bayley's offense and speculating about whether Charlotte could recover, providing natural commentary that filled time without drawing attention to the real issue. The referee communicated with both wrestlers and production, coordinating timing so that Charlotte would have enough time to address the problem without the segment feeling unnaturally stretched. Backstage, Charlotte had maybe 90 seconds to solve a problem that could have ended the match entirely. She was met by wardrobe personnel who had been alerted to the situation and had emergency backup gear ready. The decision was made that rather than trying to repair the damaged outfit, Charlotte would do a complete top change, swapping into similar but structurally sound gear that would allow her to finish the match safely. The speed and efficiency of this costume change, executed while Charlotte was still in character and maintaining the fiction that she was simply recovering from Bayley's attack, shows the level of professionalism and preparation that exists behind the scenes in WWE. Charlotte returned to the ring approximately 2 minutes after leaving, which in wrestling time is long enough to feel significant but not so long that it kills all momentum. She slid back into the ring where Bayley was waiting, and they picked up exactly where they left off, with nobody in the audience having any idea that a potential disaster had just been avoided through quick thinking and flawless teamwork. The match continued for another 6 minutes, building to a clean finish that served the storyline and left both women looking strong heading into their pay-per-view encounter. What makes this incident so significant is not just that a problem occurred. Wardrobe malfunctions happen occasionally in wrestling because the gear is put under incredible physical stress and sometimes things break. What makes it significant is how professionally and seamlessly it was handled by everyone involved. Charlotte's immediate recognition of the problem and instant adjustment to protect herself while staying in character shows world-class instincts. Bayley's instant understanding of the situation and modification of her offense to facilitate a solution demonstrates why she is considered one of the absolute best workers in the business. The production team's camera work and commentary coverage prevented the issue from becoming obvious to viewers, and the backstage crew's rapid response with backup gear and efficient costume change execution shows the depth of preparation and professionalism throughout WWE's operation. The online reaction once word of the malfunction started spreading was actually remarkably positive and respectful, with fans and fellow wrestlers praising how Charlotte and Bayley handled the situation. Multiple wrestlers, both current and retired, took to social media to explain that situations like this are every performer's nightmare and that the way Charlotte and Bayley worked together to solve the problem mid-match without breaking character or stopping the show is exactly what veteran expertise looks like. Several women's wrestlers specifically praised Bayley for her awareness and willingness to adapt on the fly to protect her opponent, noting that this kind of professionalism is what makes her such a valued locker room presence and trusted worker. Charlotte herself addressed the incident briefly on social media, thanking Bayley for her professionalism and quick thinking, thanking the production team for their discretion, and making light of the situation by joking that wardrobe malfunctions are occupational hazards when you are performing in elaborate custom gear every week. Her ability to acknowledge what happened without making it a huge dramatic incident shows confidence and perspective, treating it as a problem that was solved rather than a crisis that defines the moment. Bayley's response was equally classy, downplaying her own role and emphasizing that any professional would have done the same thing, that protecting your opponent and maintaining the quality of the match is basic wrestling ethics that should be standard practice rather than something deserving special praise. This humility, despite being objectively excellent, is very typical of Bayley's character, someone who consistently does the right thing and handles situations with maturity but rarely seeks recognition for it. The incident has sparked broader conversations about the challenges female wrestlers face regarding ring gear that male wrestlers generally do not have to worry about to the same degree. Men's wrestling gear is typically much simpler and more secure, with less risk of malfunction even during the most physical matches. Women's gear often needs to balance athletic functionality with aesthetic presentation, network television broadcast standards regarding coverage, and the performer's personal style preferences, creating a more complex equation where something can go wrong despite everyone's best intentions and preparation. Some female wrestlers have used this incident as an opportunity to discuss the specific challenges of gear selection and the constant balancing act between wanting to look good and needing absolute confidence that everything will stay secure during physically demanding performances. Several have shared their own stories of near misses or minor malfunctions that were caught and fixed before becoming serious problems, emphasizing that this is a genuine concern that requires constant attention and cannot be taken for granted. The fact that Charlotte and Bayley handled this so professionally also reinforces why both women are positioned as top stars and trusted with important matches and storylines. WWE needs to know that when they put someone in a main event segment with millions watching live, that person can handle unexpected problems without panicking or requiring the show to be stopped. Charlotte and Bayley both proved once again that they have the experience, the ring awareness, and the professional maturity to deal with anything that comes up and still deliver a quality performance that serves the storyline and satisfies the audience. Thank you for watching Wrestling News CC. Let us know in the comments if you noticed anything unusual during this match when it aired live, share your respect for how Charlotte and Bayley handled this situation, and tell us if you think this incident shows why both women deserve to be considered among the absolute best professional wrestlers in the world regardless of gender.